Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, my brother. How are you? Ramadan
And
Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak. Sorry I missed the program yesterday. I was on at 10.
Okay.
But yeah, and I didn't see the email till late that it started at 11.
In fact, you actually logged into today's meeting
Oh, did I
yesterday.
really?
Yes,
Oh,
you
goodness
did.
gracious. Okay.
And somehow, because right now we've got the Ramadan session, we've got today's meeting, and then there's collective conversations, which right now we're not doing. We're just doing a replay. Uh, that's a lot of Zoom stuff to separate. And then when you add on top of that everything that CWSC is doing, I get confused myself. Like
Yeah.
last week, I thought I had sent out the invitation for the Saturday Ramadan session, but when I went back and checked, I didn't. I sent out like four different Zoom things because I did one. I did the Sunday meeting, and I sent the Sunday meeting out to a conveners group and some other people. And in my mind, I thought I had sent the Ramadan session out. And I didn't know until Saturday morning, 30 minutes before it was supposed to start, that I had not done that.
Yeah, I
So
get it.
we live very active lives. And man, there's just so much technical stuff that we have to do, which I'm glad it's only you on. What did you think about the whole thing this week with the conveners and our planners for the 50-year celebration?
Yeah, so um we're going to continue to work.
Right.
We're going to
Obviously
continue to
that.
work. Um, but there is I talked with the conveners earlier in the week, and they actually want me to kind of facilitate some of that coordination and logistics. So I'm in the process of trying to catch up and try to understand where they were when Nabiha um,
Hmm.
decided not to continue
Right.
because there was no alignment with the MOU. And
Right.
unfortunately, I think um, people early on was talking past each other, and their unwillingness to receive criticism, critique, etc. Um, it kind of got in the way of making progress here. So we're going to move past that and continue to work to ensure that the 50th celebration is what it was intended to be.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't think it was going to stop. I just thought it was unfortunate, obviously.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
really, I was talking to Sister Kalita last night, and what I told her was, I'm really surprised this far into the process that people would have an issue with the contract or
yeah,
contracts.
yeah,
All that stuff should have been before Sister Fitra handed things off. All of that stuff. There should not have been one stone unturned
I agree.
on that contract. So
I agree.
yeah.
And I think that's why they want to have someone involved that understand those types of process
Hmm.
and kind of workflows. And I think moving forward, what the conveners are having conversations around is that everyone that will have a significant role in working with this project will have a MOU that specifically defines and states, the roles and responsibilities, expectations, etc. So
Okay.
there's no ambiguity moving forward because people, and this is just the nature of people. You can have conversations and you think you have alignment and agreement until people start moving and start doing
Right.
things. And then you realize we're not on the same page, right? So let's,
Hmm.
and then in that attempt to reset or to realign, right? It comes with a lot of miscommunications. It comes with a lot of then difficulties to get people kind of realigned. And I think that this was exactly what happened, right? There was a lot of conversations that happened. People thought they were in agreement and alignment. And when things started to roll, they realized that no, we don't have agreement. We are not aligned. And I think that this is a product of that.
Yeah, sounds like it. It's like, again, there's no way in the world you should be arguing about different points in the MOU at this point. I mean, all that stuff
Yeah,
should have been decided in
exactly.
the beginning.
Exactly. And I think a lot
So,
of it boiled down to I'll just be honest with you. A lot of it boiled down to is that some of the folks that served on the core team did not want to be accountable to the conveners. There were certain aspects of their work that they felt like they had exclusive control over and only needed to report high level information to the conveners and not detailed information to the conveners, although they were asking them, like for example, they were asking them to approve almost $250,000 budget, but with no details. Right. And, the conveners pushed back on that and started asking questions about what does, give us some more details, break this out, do a cost analysis, and that caused some friction and some difficulties moving forward from that point.
hmm
Because some of them felt like they did not need to provide that level of detail to the conveners, and I
why,
disagree with that.
why would they think that you don't have to disclose those type things to basically your board of directors?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what the conveners was trying to convey to this group of, and mainly it was sisters. I'll be honest. It
Oh,
was
I know,
mainly sisters.
I know who they were. Right. I'm just
And yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say my understanding is that like Sister Nabia works in I know it's a nonprofit, I think, but it's still a corporate setting.
Yep.
Surely she understands reporting up.
Yep.
So I mean,
Yep.
I don't get that. I understand the part that I read about, um, them having some financial stake
Right.
in whatever they created. But once again, all of that
Yep.
should have been in the original agreement from day one.
I agree.
You don't get this far down the road and then say, I hate we didn't talk about my royalties. What the
Right. Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. That is exactly right, Brother Edward. Unfortunately, the conveners took approached this work in good faith.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, some people, when it comes to money, the worst of them kind of surface. And I think that this is what was the result of this, right? Initially, I don't think anyone thought that this event was going to be um, potentially be attended by 700 plus individuals.
Hmm.
In a month of kind of doing a pre-launch of the event, we raised $20,000,
Right.
and that wasn't even a full launch of the program.
Right.
We sold. 8 tables, right? So people are biting at the bits to get involved with this project. And I think at that point, people realize, oh man, this is a money maker. This could
Mm-hmm.
be beyond what we initially thought this was going to be, because everyone had in their mind, typically when time to be grateful is gathering, they plan for like 500 people, but it usually somewhere between 400 people show up to time to be grateful as of recent, right? As of
Right.
recent. Um, and that was kind of the lane that people was thinking, okay, we'll have about 400, 500 people, right, that will attend this event. But once that pre-launch to kind of put fillers out to see where people were with this, it was a overwhelming response to
Right.
even the pre-release. And I think that is where people realized, oh man, this is a money maker. How do now I protect logos, all this other type of things that I was doing when I didn't think this was going to be a money maker, right? Because
Right.
the idea that was thrown out, we probably will not even break even with this program, right? That was what was initially stated, because the Muslim Journal doesn't break even with these programs, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the mindset going into it. But I think once they realized that this potentially has the ability to make money, I think that is what shifted, right? The kind of the conversations, and it just got very contentious, unfortunately, between some of the sisters and the conveners. Um, and unfortunately, we were not able to get to a point where everyone could work together.
Mm-hmm. So one of the other things that I brought up to Sister Carlita last night is the flow of the money,
Yeah,
because it's flowing into the ocean, and we don't know which large whale is going to end up swallowing most of it. And
right,
we're not. And I'm
right,
not just. I'm just simply not talking about the event itself. I'm talking
right.
about for years to come.
I understand.
So
I
why
understand.
has not the idea of creating an IWDM foundation
Yeah,
not been discussed and set up?
yeah.
You
So I
know.
don't know. I don't have a response to that question. But I know some of the discussions I have been with the conveners now is that we have to be transparent. We have to. So what we're going to do is that, and we're working on sending out a packet to everyone that includes the budget, that includes the work plan, that includes everything, so that we can be as transparent as we can with this process moving forward, so everybody can see what who is doing what they're being compensated for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It is going to be a transparent process.
Okay.
So that there is no misunderstanding that, hey, we are sending our money to this group and we don't know what's happening with it. That is not going to happen. I told them that I could not participate in a process in light of what has happened in the last week. I cannot participate at this level without this being a transparent process. And we have to
Right.
be open. Uh, Everyone has to be privy to all of the information that we are developing, including the budget. And they all agreed that this would be something that would be shared. It would be placed on the website so that you can see the budget and how we're going about how we're tracking the income versus expenses, et cetera.
Okay. Are you, in your mind, do you see yourself reaching out to some of the core team to see if they would be willing to stay on?
We have done that.
Okay.
And some of those core members have dug their feet in.
Okay.
Basically, this has gotten personal. On a personal level. And what I have told folks is that anytime that you enter like a contractual agreement where there exchange of resources for product, it needs to be professional. You
Mm-hmm.
need to have it in writing. People need to understand what it is that they're agreeing to. MOUs, SOPs, even if it comes to a contractual arrangement, all of this need to be in writing. Um, so you can avoid this type of messiness.
Right.
And unfortunately, I believe that there are some core members that we probably will not um, uh, participate moving forward. Now, I was able to savage some of the brothers that participated in it, because a lot of, I think a lot of the brothers saw, and I saw this early on too in some of the core team meetings we were having. There was a lot of resentment of the conveners, a lot, even before we got into the conversation around budget. Uh, there was
How?
there was a lot of um, antagonists, um, sentiments that was being expressed even in those meetings. And I think it came out in one of the response from Sister Zakia, her email. Some of that antagonist mentality came out in her email as well. So that was I, I I did not
Is
want
that
it to see it get this way, but I was trying to get Nabiha to see that you have to deal with this in a professional way, and you don't you don't attract people to things using vinegar. You have to use honey, right? Although you
right?
may disagree with the slowness that the conveners may be doing to approve things that you want approved, or you may disagree with their approach, or you may disagree with their comments that they're providing to you, but you still have to see them as a client, right? Because they're paying you to provide a service to them. So if they're telling you they want purple and you telling them yellow is better, and they ultimately say no, we want purple, you have to go with purple.
Right. Right. So communication issue. So obviously it's the
Yep.
age gap,
Yep.
way of communicating, way of operating.
Yep.
So if you don't have a wiring diagram of how things have to flow, then it's very easy for people to.
Well, uh, uh, I think the conveners did send information both to Sister Fitra as well as Nabiha, language, documents that kind of set the direction and tone
Hmm.
for what they were looking for. But I think um, Nabiha took it on her own that the conveners, at least she had this idea in her head that the conveners do not know what they're doing. So I'm just going to do what I think is best and not confer with them, not check in with them on progression of things. She wanted to sign contracts with hotels and hotels without going to the conveners and saying,
Wow.
this is what I'm ready to do. These are the agreements. She was just jumping out there, ready to sign contracts and get into obligated arrangements. And the conveners were saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, pump your brakes. We still have questions about the budget. Before
Right.
we even can get into contractual stuff, we still have questions about the budget." Um, so there was definitely some communication challenges there, definitely some misunderstandings about roles and responsibilities, accountability. Although it was in writing, I give the conveners credit. They put things in writing, but the thing that they did not do was the contractual obligations of things. They did not put that in
Mm-mm.
writing.
Okay. Well, let's welcome our guests this morning. I'm sure they've got an earful. Assalamu alaikum,
Oh,
Ramadan
okay.
Mubarak to Brother Adam and Imam Talib.
Walaikum salam and Ramadan Mubarak. That was
Ramadan Mubarak.
no, y'all can I guess I mean it I heard enough. Uh,
Yeah.
I heard enough to understand that these are issues of group dynamics.
Yes.
You put it's group dynamics, it's is trust
Yeah.
and 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 how do you move forward as how do you move forward like Graceline without leadership? I mean, when you have
Right.
when you have a group like we do, individually, we are leaders in our own right. But to bring a group of leaders into a room and not have someone respect leadership, you're going to end up with these trust issues. And
Hmm.
and then when someone, and it's more of an intangible thing, but the way I'm speaking of it now, but when someone walks into the room and throws a pile of money on the table, it's all over.
Yeah.
Because those initial things weren't put in place. And then when I heard you all mention contracts, I thought somebody was going to say, well, the law says any place that, you
Yeah.
establish a transaction, you create a contract,
Yeah.
and I mean, how does something like that happen amongst an elite group of people that are reading Quran more than most?
Reading
But
Quran and living Quran, and
Yeah,
also living in a contractual world,
yeah,
totally different things. So you actually have to apply what you read
right,
to the best of your understanding. And in group dynamics, like what you were talking about, just like with us at Graceline, you can't have an individual attempt to dominate. You can't have a cadre of individuals attempt to dominate unless your structure is such that says if you have 5 people and 3 people vote a certain way, that the decision is made, right? Because
right, right,
that's the way that you are governed, and you
right,
will operate that way and take that decision until and run with it until it proves to be the wrong direction,
right,
right? And you put all that into writing, or you should. We haven't gotten to the point in Graceline that we have to necessarily do that.
mhm,
That will happen at some point, I believe, because of Graceline's growth. That there will have to
right.
be some things that are put down on paper as these roles are such and such. These are
Right.
the limits of the role, and all this stuff that,
right,
that eventually we will have to do. And we get to the
Right.
point that the credit union's open, it's even more dialed
right,
in
Yeah.
as to what roles and responsibilities are. So I know it's a learning process, but I think my thought is our community, both on a local basis and then on the national things that we've done over the last 50 years, that there should have been an acknowledgement that we have some very strong personalities in this
Yeah.
community. And given that, is that you basically have to, on an event like this, and for events going forward that can use the blueprint of this event, is you create the Constitution
mhm,
to govern everything that you do. And I know that flies in the face of all this stuff that everybody is a little kingdom somewhere. But at some point in time, you have to do something like this that at least people can pick it up and use it when they find it being the best option. You have to
Right.
go back to Newark and do it. Don't have to go to Miami and do it or whatever. But when we're doing these large things that are going to involve the greater part of the community and ancillary groups outside the community that we want to pull into this, you got to have something strong.
Right. Let, let me say this about I do know that the conveners and between that core group there was some agreement around compensation, et cetera, right? In the work that needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Where the conflict came in is where when people saw that this was going to be bigger
Right.
than what they thought, right? And there was more money to
Agreed.
be made. It was. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that, but that is when the tide turned
I'm
because there
telling
were
you,
agreement. Hey, we're going to compensate you for the work that you're going to do over this year to logistically work on this program, bring a core team together to work on this program. We're going to compensate those members of the team that are in those leadership roles for different aspects and elements of the program. We're going to compensate them. These are their roles and responsibilities. This is what we're looking. This is the outcome that we want from the program. This is what the logistics should look like. So all of that was done. There was agreement on alignment on all of that. This was an agreement. The division came when other folks of the core team saw that this was going to be bigger than what they thought, and that this was going to be a major money generation,
yes, yes,
event.
yes,
When
Mm.
they saw that, right, and this happened within the last like month or so, I would say like the tail end of February. This was happening because we had a pre-launch just to put fillers out to kind of see what people response would be to some initial pre-sales of tables, and it was overwhelming. Right, we sold out of everything. We raised $20,000, and this was not even an official launch. So people saw that, and their immediate response was, "Oh, I got to protect now, the things that I have been contributing to this project thus far, like logos and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." That's why there was a statement that there was no alignment with the intellectual property, and we have, that's where things went off the rail, right there.
right.
It's kind of unfortunate that people can't live up to an agreement that you have in place.
Right.
And there's other ways that you can make, money off of an event. There's other ways that you can do that. Or you can go
Sure.
back and renegotiate terms,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
There's ways that you can do this in a more a collaborative way than just to say, oh, I want to protect my intellectual property. And if I can't get my way, I'm just going to take my ball and go home.
Right. Right. I agree.
Man, look, it's
Well,
like
how about Assalamu alaikum, first of all.
Well,
Since
like my salam.
But like my son.
sorry I'm a little late, but I allowed the people that tried to convince me that daylight saving time was a benefit. And that would only work if I went to bed an hour early. So sorry. But anyway, oh man. Now y'all know why I said when I did 150, don't send me any money.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, man. But once they saw that, I mean, there's more than one way of benefiting from this
That's
other
right.
than getting money right now. If the sister and those others that are using their professional services to generate it, they can use that as a reference on the next
That's
one
right. Exactly.
and cut the better deal on the next one. But when you talk about money, now someone said that Graceline, well, we ain't got no money yet.
That's right.
Right.
Well, inshallah, soon, right?
Yeah, soon,
Right.
inshallah, soon. But let us learn from this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let us learn. Let us not fall victim to that.
Yes.
All right. And remember that when we came down this line, none of us had thoughts of getting wealthy. We were more results oriented, right?
That's right. Mhm.
and that'll keep us safe. But
Matter of
but,
fact,
But
most of us have spent more money, our own money, than we paid
yeah,
it.
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. But we're committed to the cause.
Right.
And if it happens, alhamdulillah. That's that ayat in the Quran I love. It says, if heavy rain falls, it brings an abundance, right?
That's
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
But if light rain falls, it suffices.
That's right.
Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
And that's the
Mhm.
mentality you have to have.
Right.
But I said, man, I'm listening in what Omar's saying. I think a lot, Omar, you were there to try to give him some good advice and counsel.
Hey,
Mhm.
look, they're putting Omar in charge.
Yeah, they are.
Do you understand what they're doing to him? They're putting Omar in
How
charge
much
of
they
this
giving
thing.
you, Omar?
Oh man.
Yeah, I was left hanging the bag. I mean, I was on a call with conveners and the sister trying to, come to an alignment around the MOU. I put together an SOP that the MOU could be built off of. I asked the sister, how do you want to move forward with this? She was just very antagonistic. Did not want to have anything to do with the process anymore. And basically the emails told me at that meeting, hey Omar, you may have to take this over if Nabiha decides that she's not going to continue. So there were several efforts even going into um this month for about 2, 3 weeks to try to align with Nabiha's concerns around intellectual property. It even went as far to say intellectual property can be yours. We don't want a stake in intellectual property, around videos and et cetera that is created, but things that we are compensating you to do as the event planner, creating logos, the social media posts, etc., to generate contributions and to generate attendance to the event. Those products should be the products of the conveners because we're compensating you, which I thought was appropriate compromise. Hey, you come up with a design for a T-shirt or a hat or buttons or whatever else you want to sell, merchandise that you want to sell at the event, it's yours. We have no stake in that. But if you create a logo that is for the event, that belongs to the conveners because we're paying you,
Yeah.
right, to do
Right.
to do those
There-
activities.
Right.
there's a line on the copyright application that says something to the effect of this is a work for hire.
Right.
So I mean that is that is standard procedure whenever you are working under contract or for a company.
Right.
There's been a whole lot of people. The president of Target didn't create that logo.
Right.
Somebody in the
But it
company,
belongs to Target.
but it belongs to them. And the
Right. Because
person
they
who
paid for
actually
it.
They
did
paid
it,
for it, yeah.
it was a work for hire.
Right.
Omar,
Exactly.
here's how you
Exactly.
deal. Omar, here's how you deal with her. All right. Tell her you're gonna withdraw the convenience name and everything off the program, and put her name up there. See how many people come.
I hear you.
See how many people show up. Since you think it's
I
all
hear
about
you.
her,
But I think it's a level of maturity, right? You're dealing with some younger folks that the conveners definitely wanted to, work with, trying uh, support them. And sometimes this generational divide that we create those generational divides,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Right. Yeah.
Um, kind of got in the way, right? This attitude that they're older people, they don't understand, they don't know what they're doing. That is not true, right? And the way, we have to enter this work with compromise in mind, a win-win mentality. That I'm not going to get everything I want, but I can live with certain things to get to what the end goal is. If the conveners want to have a banquet, traditional style banquet, and the masjid cannot accommodate that because of capacity issues and concerns, because of space constraints, and they wanted to move it to a hotel, move it to a hotel. Let's not fight that desire to do that, right? Because you want to have a younger version of what a banquet should be. Networking opportunities, stand up tables. Our community is an older community. They ain't gonna come there and stand up at no tables and eat hors d'oeuvres. They're gonna want to sit down and have a plated meal.
Right.
So
Well, see,
we should be accommodating to all generations and how our community is. And that was another sticking point, around how the banquet, how the banquet should be formatted. And it was just, to me, it, people were digging their heels in on issues and concerns that they could have worked. They could have worked them out.
mhm. Well, I know the problem was this brother called my program and on AM 360, and we were talking about the youth. And the brother said he was trying to get his grandson involved, and the grandson said, "What's in it for me?"
Mhm.
Yeah,
So then my next program, I said, "They are not the ones we're looking for.
right.
Right.
What's in it for you?"
Yeah.
You know, and that's a different mentality.
It sure is.
But that's the problem too when you divide the generations, and that's what the Caucasian has done effectively. Gen Z, Gen X, but
Hmm.
that's not doing nothing but dividing people. You know, where's the part of the younger learning from the old?
Hmm. Hmm.
Don't have that. So, um, but I agree with you, brother. And as long as it's not, it's that thing of convenience have to take their share of the blame because they've allowed divisions to occur between all the national and local organizations, between
Yeah,
Listen Journal and
yeah,
Mosqueras and Imam Pasha.
yeah,
These things are happening.
yeah. But I think also how we need to approach this work is that sometimes we give more to something and we
Hmm.
get greater benefit afterwards, right?
Yeah.
This if they would have seen that this could have been a big event, which it potentially can be a big event. This could lead to other opportunities for them to curate, facilitate other
Hmm.
logistics for other events and programs. Because people are going to come to you and say, "Hey, we got a program coming up in spring, and we need somebody to help us," right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's other ways that you can generate benefit for yourself than to say and dig your feet in and say that I thought it was a lost opportunity for those young people to learn, cut their teeth on this type of event, and be able to go out there and really promote what they have been, what they were able to achieve with this event, with something else. And it's other things could have came to them. That, the Muslim Journal could have came to them and say, "Hey, we want you all to come in and do logistics for our time to be grateful, or whatever other events there are, major events in the community," right? So I just saw them being short-sighted on the potential that this opportunity could have led. I do it all the time as part of my business. You give away something, with the idea that I'm going to get something bigger from
Hmm.
this, right?
Hmm.
That listen, what you are saying is you are dealing with a lot of young people who may have business models, but they lack vision.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not, they are business people, but they are not entrepreneurs.
Mm.
An entrepreneur has vision. They see things. They want to have the experience so that they can get the experience.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
what happens is when you get to be our age, or you are a young person who has a great deal of maturity, then you can look at a situation and recognize I've already had this experience.
Mm-hmm.
But your young people are rejecting it because they haven't had it, and they don't even recognize what it is that's happening to them when it's happening.
Yeah.
They don't see, they just can't see it because they have these what do they use to, they have blinders on. It's
Mm-hmm.
they put like they put on a horse. All they can do is see straight ahead. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when, and these are what this is going to become for them is a lesson. Now, the caution that I would have for those who are continuing, to celebrate this legacy, is that those people you're speaking of now, whoever they are, and I don't know who the players are, but I would caution to be on the lookout for um, a rivalry, a another celebration by a separate group.
Mm-hmm.
It would not surprise me.
And the way that you approach that, Imam Tyler, is that you support them, right?
Yes, yes,
You support them,
yes,
and
Exactly.
you contribute at
yes.
a,
That's right.
whatever will make their event successful, you contribute.
Yes,
I
that's
have
right.
no doubt
That's
that
wisdom. That's right.
you help them. You help them.
Yes, right,
Um, and what that going to lead to is hopefully people will see the true nature of working together, working collaboratively, moving towards trying to build community. Right.
right,
That is ultimately what we are working towards. We all focus and concentrate on different areas of what it means to build community, right?
right.
But at the end of the day, we should be helping each other. When you
Yeah,
call
Right.
on, if someone calls on me and say, Omar, I need your expertise at the table, right? My nature is to automatically say yes,
Mm-hmm.
right?
right,
That is my nature because I have something that I think I can contribute, right?
Right.
Um, and I don't say no, I'm not going to help you because I don't like you. So I think that is our approach, right? Although, yes, this is unfortunate at this time and period, but if something comes about, they do another program, or they do some other type of program, we help them, we support them, we
right,
go, we attend,
right,
just like we expect when this program, right, this 50th anniversary happens, that they come and support, right?
mhm,
Um, um, so that's where we are, and I think that I have to say this. I think that the conveners are doing an excellent job in managing this process and moving forward, and I see it as an honor that they have asked um, for me to continue to participate at the level that they want me to participate. I
right,
take, I take my instructions from them. And that's with any client that I work with, right? I
Right.
take my instructions from that client.
Right.
And what that client says they want to achieve, I work and deliver and try to create pathways to get them to that end goal.
Right.
And
That's
ultimately, it leads to a very successful project, program, whatever it is. When everyone can work together, you may have your disagreements, right? Because you're going to you're not going to agree on everything. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is the client's decision. And if
right.
the client wants it done in a certain way, then that is what it would be. Even if I wasn't being compensated for something, my
Right.
relationship with you, if you're asking me to deliver a service or deliver a
Right.
product, it's a client. To me in my mind, it's a business arrangement. You're
Right.
the client.
Yeah.
You tell me what it is that you want, and I will deliver it
Right.
to the best of my abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's how I see this arrangement with the conveners.
Yeah.
That this is a client, this is a business arrangement. Although, I tell them this is supposed to be a law. I do this because, hey, I have a skill set that I think I can bring to the table that can facilitate um, the logistics for this program. And we're going to move forward. We're going to move forward. We're going to find those like-minded individuals in the community that want to cultivate the same type of environment, and we're going to work together, and we're going to move this project forward.
Get, get it
Period.
done. Yes, sir.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Well, it goes back to what Talib has coined. You tell the young people that, and it all boils down to if they will listen.
That's right.
Because
That's
if
right.
they don't, it's going to be exactly what we fear it's going to be. But history
Yeah,
has proven that's the way it works with us.
yeah,
They're not going to work together. They're not going to support. They're going to.
Well, you have to clearly define the roles, and I think Omar is equipped to do that, to understand the resources that he needs to get this done and what those individual resources need to contribute to the whole plan going forward. And if you can effectively create those roles and you can reduce those roles to writing, is this is what I need you to do, this is the
yeah,
timeline, this is who you report to,
yeah,
this is the committee that you're a part of. I mean, all of these little things, this minutia that kind of ties everything together and makes the body function properly. And then you get somebody to buy in. I mean, once you have it, you lay it in front of them and you say, this is what is required. This is what I'm asking you to do. And I understand a little creative license on your part, sure. But basically, this is the role. And this is what I need you to do for the next 6 months or whatever time
that's
period
right.
we have left, right? Can you
Yeah,
do that? Are we in agreement that you can do this? Are you willing to buy into this? No matter what are your other thoughts are, will you buy into this for the
yeah,
next period of time? If they say yes, then you hold them to it, right? And
yeah,
that's for every role. And then you explain to them that you're above them on this totem pole thing, but I'm your servant. If you need anything,
yeah,
come to me.
Mm-hmm.
Please let me know what it is that you need, and we'll see if we can get it for you to help you out.
yeah,
And if they've said yes, they bought into it, and you're sincere and they believe you, you can get people to follow you a long way. And we're only talking months, not years here.
Right.
yeah. 147 days is what it's what it is.
Look, he's doing the last few days of his 50-year sentence. He's marking it off.
Right.
147 days
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh man. Oh man.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Well, let let us know what it is we might be able to do to support you.
I will. I'll be reaching out this week to some of you. I know that Imam Tariq is one of the conveners um for the Southern section, so definitely be having some conversation with him and the other conveners about their support and how we can be helpful in messaging and getting information out to the masjids that make up their region that they represent. We definitely having those conversations, and then several of you, I would definitely be having conversations about what support you can lend. Even if it's
Omar,
just an advisory role, it would
right?
be very helpful.
The launch itself, that really hasn't happened, has
No, it has not. We were looking to launch the beginning of March because we want to launch the first week of Ramadan.
it? Mm-hmm.
And then this week here has thrown, a monkey wrench into that. We are resetting things. We are setting up a transition meeting with those core members that are not continuing with the process. So we're setting that up so that we can understand where many of them were with their tasks. So that we can better understand where that is. And I'm pretty sure you all understand how what people do when they feel hurt about things, right? And
Yes.
they have access to information, they have access to platforms. What happens when
Yes.
there is disagreement and alignment? We're working
Yep.
through those types of challenges now.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
A
Oh man.
delicate dance, man. Delicate.
It is definitely
That's
delicate. Yep.
that's when people start taking folks' laptops and getting the hard drives out of them so you can recover information.
Well, hopefully
Man,
they won't go that far. Hopefully, inshallah.
I mean,
I
I'm
know what you're talking
yeah,
about, but hopefully they don't sabotage.
yeah.
Right.
I hope they
Right.
don't either. Yeah, that would be terrible. But yeah, Omar, you have all you gotta do is pick up the phone.
Yes, sir.
I
uh,
mean,
uh, other conveners, other conveners prepared to pay some of these people for their information should they ask for it?
Yeah, so like I said before, there was already an agreement in place to compensate folks
Oh,
for the
okay.
time they were given to the process, et cetera, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
logically, people would say, I'm compensating you to work on this program and project. So anything that you develop, right, belongs to the conveners because we're the client, right? Contention worked itself in because again, like I stated, I think people expectations were that this was not going to be a huge event. And then with early signs of this, yes, this potentially could be a huge event where there is potential for making, significant amount of money. Then people started paying attention and saying, oh, I need to rethink these things, right? Although I'm in agreement, now I need to, when I think we all been in this position before where we start an initiative, it could be an organization, and we're all working towards it. We're giving our time, we're giving resources to it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then as soon as a major grant comes in or a major donation comes in, that's when the food come out of us, right? And unfortunately, that is what we are dealing with right now.
So,
mm-hmm.
so in other words, what you telling me is 6 people planned to rob a bank. Two of them planned it. 3 of them went in, and 1 was the getaway driver. They were expecting to get anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. They ended up getting $250,000. And some of the 2 that went over the counter put money in their pocket, and then the rest of it went in the bag. But when they got back to the meeting place, the money was dumped on the table, and it looks significantly more than $50,000. And everything changed from right there. Everything.
Yes.
Everything. And the arguments start about who contributed to what. Nigga, you ain't do nothing but drive the car. I'm the one
Right.
over the counter.
Right. Exactly. That type of mentality, right?
Well,
That type of
and
mentality.
it was my idea. I planned it. Man, you better give me my money. You know,
Yep. Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
that is what and those are lessons. I mean, look, man, that was the first lesson that I learned. The very first lesson that I learned. I might have been 17 years old, and we pulled a job. And the person that I most trusted, I let hold the money. And we all got paid. But then I found out later that some of us got more than others. And I've been on my own ever since. No, but look, this is typical. All this shows me is that this is typical in any world, whether you in the underworld or you in the Islamic world. That human nature is not going to change. And
Reduce it to writing.
Reduce it to writing.
That's why the Quran was revealed.
Yeah. Just
to
put
solve
it down. I
all
mean,
of
yeah,
these.
we can always come back, as Omar said, we can always come back and renegotiate at a later date.
That's right.
But this is the contract. This is what you work from.
That's
And
right.
you know, it really is that simple. And in this particular project, as Adam said, the goal was not to everybody get rich.
That's right.
The goal was to celebrate a legend. You know, I mean, a man who changed the direction not just of African American people, but changed the direction of the Islamic world. You celebrate this.
Yeah.
Give everything that you possibly can, not expecting anything in return. You get
That's
something.
right.
Well, it boils down to trust.
Yep.
Trust. If Imam Muhammad was given if he was alive and given it, would anybody say anything?
No.
Nope.
All right, because they trust. They
Mhm.
trusted him.
Right.
They don't trust the convenience.
Yeah.
And
But see here,
That's what it boils down to.
why? Okay, but why? If
Why?
these people are not trustworthy, why are they in the positions that they're in?
Because Imam Talib is in the position he's in because of where he is and in the section that he's in. The imams there trust him,
Right.
respect him. They put him in
Right.
that position,
Yes.
right? But you're talking about national.
I understand, but these
Most people don't
national
know Talib.
people,
Huh?
I understand, but okay. So the brother out of San Antonio, I know him personally,
Mm-hmm.
and people in the state of Texas know him, and people in Louisiana know him. He's a trustworthy imam. Imam Tariq in Mississippi, like you just said,
Mm-hmm.
people know and trust him. I don't know. I don't personally know Imam Bashir Ali. Somebody trusts this brother.
Well,
Somebody.
let's put it this way. No, let's put it this way. I might have talked about this. I had a brother in our mass year. He was in college, young brother, and this immigrant brother was trying to bring money back from overseas, and he got TSA confiscated his money,
Mm-hmm.
and he had to get a lawyer and things. So the brother's in law school, and he asked me, he said, "Brother man, do you know this brother?" I said, "Yeah, he's been around. He's a good brother. I see him as a good brother. Yes, sir." About 6 weeks later, the brother came up to me and mad with me. I thought you said he was a good brother. It seems that on the third time they released money to him, it was like $30,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the brother peeled off 15,000 off the top and gave him the rest. I thought you said he was a good brother. I said, well, I guess he was a good $500 brother, just like $15,000 brother. You follow what I'm saying?
I understand.
All
I
right.
understand. So that's why I brought up, when I was talking to his sister last night about this, I brought up the idea of the money flowing into IWDM Foundation, which does not exist, but should exist. And everything being transparent. Money goes in, what's the money used for in the community, all of those things. Take it out of individuals' hands. Because that, it sounds to me like that's where the problem is. It's individual trust.
Well, let me say this. We as a nation, we are in, or let me ask this question, because this is the question that was there. Who is the leader of the Republican Party?
They don't have one.
Yeah, they do.
They really don't.
They do.
Who?
They have Donald Trump. They, all of them have bent the knee to Donald Trump.
Yeah, but he's not supposed to be leader. The Johnson guy.
No. So think about it like this. Okay.
Everybody bends the knee. Who leads the Democratic Party?
Nobody. There's no leader
Not
in either
a
party.
soul. Where does a rudderless boat end up?
On the rocks. Scuttled on the rocks.
Yes. There is no leadership. There's no leadership in the Democratic Party.
Nor the Republican Party. There's no leadership in the Republican Party.
But they're in charge.
There's outlaws. No, there's outlaws. Nobody's in charge.
All right. But
there's nobody in charge.
But they're the ones that are moving forward.
They're the ones that are stealing.
Or sideways.
They're the ones that are stealing money.
Okay.
So
the point I'm making to you is this. There's no one who has replaced the leadership of Imam W.D. Muhammad. Nobody that I know of.
Correct.
All right. And part of what the Imam created was this sense of independence, because he said more than once that this vision couldn't die with him, that others needed to be able to pick up the mantle and move forward. And I think that's where we are right now as a community under his leadership. There are those that are keeping this thing moving until Allah puts the next leader in charge. Someone that we don't even know. Because, we don't have the vision of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who told the community that I'm not going to be the one that leads you. Who follows me, that's the one. And then we get Imam W.D. Muhammad, and as far as I'm concerned, he performed a miracle. He got thousands of people who had been in the nation for decades to turn to another Qibla, or to turn to the Qibla. That was miraculous. That was miraculous. And the vision, like Joseph's father had, came true. Now, what is the vision from here? What was Imam W.D. Muhammad's vision? who, and we may have to go back and study this to see where this needs to go. How we resolve these kind of continuing issues that we're going to have, who that person is going to be. Not as a personality, but as a leader. You know, because I mean, sometimes, man, I'm trying to steer, and I think we are as a group, we are too. We're trying to steer our own boat. And I know for me, and I think for all of us, we're not willing to follow the lizard down into the lizard's hole. So we've got to protect ourselves as individuals, as this group. I mean, you know, I'm going to keep moving forward with you all. I don't think there's any one of us that's talking about breaking away and trying to do something else. And, oh man, they ain't going nowhere. You know, I mean, listen, we do this every single Sunday. And I ain't crazy. I'm in this because ever since I've been in it, I've grown. Going on 73 years old, and I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I don't know, and I ain't gonna stop. And every instance that I have to continue to work with each one of you, it only increases my strength. I don't know, I can't remember who all was there. It wasn't a lot of people, but you all need to go back and really listen to Sister Martha's presentation that she did yesterday. I've never seen her in a position like that, but she handled herself, is it excellently? Well, I mean, well. If you sat and listened and followed along, she took you on a journey from her own personal background and then used the Quran to support what it was that she was saying. Mm-hmm. And if I had any criticism or critique for what she did, it was only my own wife that saved me from making the same mistake. And that is when we do these presentations, and we need, oh, Sister Kalita's gone. But even with Sister Kalita, when you present these PowerPoints and things of that nature, set it for presentation mode. Because Edwin, if you remember, we pretty much saw everything that Martha had on her computer. Because it wasn't in presentation mode. But listen to it, because and it's that sort of thing that happens to us where little by little we gain respect for each other. Because I didn't know any of y'all before I came into this. Not one person. Heard of you, but I didn't know you. You know, so and I'm liking the idea of being able to work with brothers and sisters, you know, like yourselves. And yeah, we've had our dust ups. And yeah, I've been the cause of some of the dust ups. But I ain't going nowhere. Because I'm learning. I mean, this is what I do. That's part of my autodidactic learning. That's how I get the experience. Now I'll go somewhere else outside of Graceline, and you would think I'm an expert. Because I've been exposed to a group dynamic that works. And now I've been able to take what I've learned here, go over to Masjid Muhammad, and little by little I'm bringing them Graceline's perspective on financial freedom, Graceline's perspective on what do we call this? Collective conversations. I mean, this kind of stuff, man, is ingenious. We creating something, and no one is trying to claim any more than what they're entitled to. Nothing. Not. And if the money is going to come, and the money ain't going to come from here, Allah's going to see that we get everything that we need, both as a group and as an individual. Why? Because what we are dedicating ourselves to now is fisabilillah. I'm not doing this for any other reason. I don't see no money in this. I don't see me gaining no money out of this. The thing that most organizations lack, when you bring people together, the first thing you ought to do is to ask, what is your agenda? And that person that sits there or stands up and say, I don't have an agenda, that's the one you need to look out for. Because the absence of an agenda becomes one. As soon as you find an opportunity, as soon as you see a way that you can weasel yourself in there to get something out of whatever the program is. And there's people and the Quran tells us, the Imam has told us, people are types. And if you've seen this type before, then you can say, oh yeah, he or she is acting like so-and-so, because you know what that is. And then, hopefully you'll know how to deal with it, because, Allah has opened your eyes to be able to see these things. So, listen, I'm with you all. I'm going to be with you until you tell me I can't be with you no more, or Allah decides this is going to be the day, my servant. You coming home. and we keep being reminded of that. And if you need another lesson, my family is through different family members. We know the Osborns, Jeffrey Osborne and his family. His wife, a couple of days ago, went to take the trash out and never came back into the house. So, and I told my wife that it has been times that I've left my office to walk out my office door and down the stairs, and I stop at the top landing and think to myself, what if Allah took me out right now? I do that often, not just there, but everywhere. Because we just don't know that day and time. Now, what I don't want to be is, I don't want to be like, oh Allah, please don't take me out like you did Gene Hackman and his wife. Man, that had to be agony. That had to be agony. But anyway, I done took up enough of y'all's time, man. Let's did we ever open up?
We have not.
May Allah forgive us. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim Gaio mo duri aleihim wala dolin. Amen. Alhamdulillah. All right, so anyway, so tell me about this leadership thing, Hilbert, because maybe I'm missing something.
No, I mean, I think you're dead on most of the things that you say. Just that in the United States right now, there are no strong leaders anywhere. I mean, unless you look at the financial sector, and in the financial sector, a little bit in the technology sector, a little bit in the technology sector. But if you look at the financial sector, there are some very strong leaders in that sector. But because of the fact that most people in finance serve just a broad cross section of the country, basically everybody who does have a bank account or a 401k or something like that's affected by them, they tend to not be very vocal. They don't have to be very vocal to make their millions or billions of dollars. They can sit back very comfortably and not rock the boat. So you don't really hear from them unless you're specifically tuned in to a conference that they're at that might be on CNBC or Bloomberg TV or something like that. You don't hear from them at all. And as far as our political leadership, Trump's not a leader. He's never been a leader. He is a provocateur, which is different. And his role as provocateur is to basically open the gates up to the Wild Wild West. Do whatever you want to do, and as long as you don't get caught prosecuted, it's legal. And he takes that effect toward government, he takes that effect toward business, he always has in the business realm. And people take a lead from that. But he's not their leader because of the Republican Party, because everything that he opens up, I could take advantage of it if I was not a moral person. That's not leadership when I start defining leadership. You simply take 80 balls out of the closet and throw them out on the field and say, kids, go play. That's not leadership. And that's all he does. And as far as the Democrats, they're too emotional. There is no plan on the Democratic side. There's reactions to events. There's no plan. And, the antithesis of that is the plan, which is what we're talking about this morning. On a singular event, 50-year celebration, there has to be a plan in place. And that plan has to have specific directives for the group and for individuals and all of those things. And from that, if it works and it's crafted properly, you get a weird thing. You get leadership. Because the people who make that happen, who make sure that all those things are adhered to positively, and who step in and agree to changes that are made to make things run better and for you to achieve your ultimate goal and all those things, they can replicate that. And those people over time become those people that you call leaders. Omar's in a unique position that if he can corral this ongoing process and bring it to a successful conclusion, then the leadership mantle is going to be placed on it. And yeah, just like what we were talking about earlier, if those other individuals were able to stay the course, that they'd be called on again and again and again and again to replicate their success, it would happen for them. And, if it's Allah's will, that's going to happen for Omar and for everybody else that's involved in this particular process. I think long term, it's going to happen for everybody that's involved in Graceline. when we bring everything that we do, not just credit, when we bring everything that we are working on to its highest level, and then we're able to sustain that, continue it. Yeah, people both within our association and outside our association are going to look to us because they're going to consider us people who have the ability to lead and get things done successfully, not just say, y'all go play, get whatever you can, whatever. That's not leadership. But we have the ability to bring about that. And I know people outside of our association, people who are not Muslim, who look to us for leadership. It came from the weirdest place last week when somebody said, when I basically told them that we as a body, that we don't have a plan and a response to what the Republicans are doing, of what they've done. And she looked at me and said, if the Muslims don't have a response or a plan, where are we? What can we count on? And that person is a hardcore Christian. So that's just the times we're living in. And Omar, with the help of a lot of others, ourselves here at Graceline, we're in a unique position to actually do some things in a leadership role that lead to sustained success.
Let me say one thing. Can I say one thing on leadership,
yes,
if you don't mind?
Go right.
All right. In terms of our Muslim community, we have leaders all over the country. These are imams. Would you agree?
I agree on a local and regional basis. Yes.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's the
We
structure.
We
structure.
have that. We have that.
Yes.
And that's following the dictates of our religion. When two or more of you get together for prayer, what does it say? Select one, no, three or more. Select one to lead, right?
Correct.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So in masjids all over the country, we've done that and selected resident imams. The board that Imam Tariq is on and others have got together as imams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have selected one to lead them. And I'm not saying that he's the leader of our community, but they are the leaders of our community, right? And they've selected one to lead them. Then there are other efforts that we have around the country that people are leaders in, and you explain that, but the evidence in terms of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because someone is leading the imams, they selected one to lead, does not translate into meaning that he is the leader of our community. You know what I'm saying? That's
Correct.
a totally different thing.
Correct.
Totally different thing. But in terms of, and when the man structured our community and made it a loose knit, there is no national association that has any power. The man did that because of the abuse and things of that nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
He made every masajid autonomous.
Right.
Autonomous. So we have that. But in terms of the language that we follow, it's Imam Muhammad's language. And it's a powerful language. And I don't know if the Imam actually said that, but I heard a brother say that one time, that the Imam said, in terms of a leader, you'll know him when you see him. Right? You'll know him when you see him. But I don't know if that, and I'm paraphrasing that for someone else. I'm not sure if that's accurate, if anybody else can reply and they say they heard that statement also. But the Imam didn't select one to succeed him. even though people are trying to make that happen. He
Right.
didn't,
Yeah.
he didn't even select his son to succeed him.
Right.
He didn't appoint Abdul Malik Muhammad to succeed him, even though he's acting like he did. Right? You know what I'm talking about, Earl Abdul
Oh,
Malik.
yeah, I know who you're talking.
He didn't even say he's going to succeed him, even though he's running around the country as though he is.
He's begging for it, but he's not getting it.
He get it from a few misguided brothers, but he didn't even do that. So until one comes to take that manner, we have language body that we're operating on. You remember Tyler mentioned that too. Tyler Dean. We have language body that we're operating on that is still producing. I've heard some of these brothers speak. I've studied other males in and outside of our community, and I haven't heard the language yet that makes me want to leave this language and go follow that language. I haven't heard it yet. And I operate on this language, and I can see the results of operating on this language, right? So
As Adam, you see the results as an individual, or do you see the results overall as the entire association?
individuals.
Okay.
Individuals.
Okay.
If Muhammad Sharif was on the line, Muhammad always called on my show. You know, man, Mom said 80% of the demands don't follow him. You know, but I don't see it. You know, and all of the divisiveness we have, you know, we have imams that don't like other imams and whatever. It's keeping us from working in concert, and everybody wants to do their own thing. But we have a long way to go. So all we can do is operate on any initiative that we're operating on and try to get as much progress as we can in anything that we're operating on. Like I said, Omar's in a good position to shed light on especially young people.
Mm-hmm.
But they got to get out. They got to get off of this mentality that the old people don't know nothing. We gonna rule. And I asked one brother, what have you built that make me want to come up with what I've got? He ain't built nothing, you know, at all. And they go get some knowledge from the general community, Caucasian knowledge, and think we're supposed to follow that because they got a degree in that knowledge. No, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna move me, you know. So you come and help, and we need somebody to help and advance what you find this in. You don't need to steal the car and say you driving the car, and that's your car. No, don't steal the car. Come help improve the performance of the car.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need right now. But anyway, I'm through.
Right. No, I 100% agree with you on what you said. You know, my gripe, I want to call it a gripe, has always been about methodology of improving the car. Of what's the process that we put in place to improve the car, and are we going to be committed to that process long term, fine tuning it, you know, improving it in all aspects so that we have a finer and finer automobile that we're putting out there. And partly maybe personalities clashing and things of that nature from masjid to masjid, region to region. I mean, I'm not really keyed in on all that. I know it obviously exists, but the collective effort to make it happen. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not talking about the Kupa on Friday. I'm not talking about Talim. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about things that are a nationwide collective effort by the association, whatever that may be. And I mean, we could start with education, which you, Adam, already did. And something that should be front and center, every masjid in the country that says they're a part of our association. Not only individuals, but the masjids themselves should be contributors to that. That's just one area. Securing our masjids, a plan in place to secure our masjids, both financially and as far as religious theory, what's being taught. It's got to be a plan. We got to put a plan in place to do that. If we have the language, so that everybody understands in certain areas, you don't give up your individuality as a whole, but there are certain areas in which you simply make a decision that for the strength, the sustainability, the growth of our community, that we are going to work collectively in these particular areas. And I don't see it consistent. I don't see it happening consistently. I know it happens. I don't see it happen consistently in clearly defined areas where it's down on paper, transparent, everybody can see it. You can always make suggestions, like laws that we have. Make suggestions to improve it. And let's have a national discussion about that. But with a deliberative process that has a start point and an end point where we make a decision. Because we know that we're going to be more intelligent, smarter, and we'll be smarter in the future. But we're going to make progress now, whether that's 1 step, 2 steps, a mile. Make progress. Evaluate the steps. Make changes where you need to make changes. Improve. Report back. What happened? Why did it happen? How do we keep it from happening again? We can do that. And as Tyler was saying about the Democrats don't do that. Not in reality, they don't tell the truth. You have to tell the truth about failure. Inadequacy. You have to tell the truth about it. It's the only way you can improve it, is to tell the truth and know what your weaknesses are and improve on. Make changes. And all I'm saying about leadership is that the people who invest in those processes, who are able to lead you from dark areas into light, into knowledge and wisdom, those are leaders. And Mom was right when you were paraphrasing, you said, you'll know them when you see them. It's the one coming out of the dark first, leading everybody else in whatever areas. And there may not be just one person. It might be 2 or 3. And they may not be necessarily an imam. They may get the title of imam, but they may not have been an imam. They just may be someone who is invested in the language of Imam W.D. Muhammad. But we won't know until we start really, somebody somewhere starts really working towards something that's going to have long-term visible benefit to the community as a whole. So Omar, it's on you. And I mean that in the best possible way. I would like, my vision for this community is it's way much too large for one person. It'd be too unwieldy for one person to be considered the leader. That's my vision. So I appreciate that there are others, but the unique skill set to have the knowledge base of the faith, the language of your mom, to be able to bridge generations as far as conversation and collaboration, the energy level that is required for leadership in these days. Yeah, that's a unique skill set.
Dedication and sacrifice.
All of that, yes. All of that, because it's a low paying job right now. I don't care what the compensation they say they can give you. It's a low paying job.
Right. In fact, they don't even call it pay. They call it a stipend.
Yeah. Might as well say it's volunteer work. Give you enough money to get from one volunteer assignment to the next volunteer assignment. So yeah, but that's, leaders go through that crucible. Go through it. It's part of it. Walk through the fire. So I'm part of the team. Just tell me, send me in the direction, tell me what I need to do.
Right.
So this coming Saturday is I just looked at the flyer because I posted it 8 times between Thursday and Saturday morning. Imam Tariq, is that you? You're up on the 15th?
I sound like Ramadan Mubarak. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'll start promoting and getting the word out on that as early this week as I possibly can. So hopefully we draw a larger audience, because they did miss something on Saturday that was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, and Edward, I don't think you got around to, and maybe you did and I missed it. Did you post last week's meeting?
When you say last Sunday, last Sunday,
yeah.
You're talking about the meeting notes?
Yes.
I believe I did. I can double check that though.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing them because I don't remember seeing them because
Okay.
it was my intention to follow up what you put on with some cliff notes,
Mm-hmm.
About these 3, 5, I don't know, I may have 7 or 8 different topics for collective conversations.
Right, we did talk about that. Okay, yeah.
Going forward. So I was going to follow up what you sent, with just my own personal notes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't recall ever seeing anything. So, and I can I can go back and look and see if I just missed it, but
That would have been last Sunday was the 2nd, correct?
yep.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, don't see them.
Mhm. Yeah, I went back and looked. I didn't. I still didn't see it. But anyway, um, I just wanted to remind us that these these next few Sundays, um, we were going to be planning out our own collective conversation schedules,
Right.
and uh, part of our individual assignments was to um, see if we could interest um, anyone outside of our group who may fit into those categories. We talked about trying to bring in younger organizations.
Mhm.
CultureCon was mentioned. Also, uh, younger imams to get to get some of their perspective. And I think we define, it might have been Edward that kind of defined young as being, somewhere between 40 and 50. And if they happen to be in their 30s, I mean, that's okay too. Um, Starting and sustaining a small business, something preferably from a younger person. The processes, challenges, out. Um, then another topic was existing businesses to grow and expand, um, and invite like lenders, bankers, business owners, um, investments, when and where, timing and planning, halal versus haram. Uh, and I think it was suggested, Hud Williams was suggested again. There was another topic on Muslim schools. Uh, because of, I think it was Kalita's presentation, we talked about one for housing, um, and to bring in uh, different people to offer different methodologies uh, to um, buying a house, maintaining a house, condo, anything of that nature. So um, that's what I'm going to send that around to us, just as a reminder, um, so that we can start thinking individually. Do we know someone that would be willing to spend a little time on a Monday evening to uh, offer their insights on some of those topics? But if I don't know how people function, but I know for me, if I see it, then that helps me to kind of think in terms of who I might want to plug in to any one of those positions. And we're not asking for you to plug in something at every single one, but just pick one or two. And if it's only one that you can think of, bring that to us so that we can start planning out these dates. Because I mean, Edwards reserved like 155 of them, or 152. It's 150 something. So, in this case, and I may even try to pick Sister Fitra's brain, because when she promotes her study al-Islam, she has that stuff set up so that and I think it's her daughter that's helping her to do it, but she has that thing set up so that you'll know what the program is weeks in advance. So I'm trying to at least see us reach her level, and then expand it. Now, and I know she's had a head start, but I can tell you this, having been in the music promotion business, decades ago, I still clearly remember that I literally put on 4 or 5 duds before I hit the other load. But it was that 5th one that I found the formula and never broke it after that. So, I mean, I think that's where we are. Right now when we do these, we get, low, we have low participation. But if we keep doing them, we're going to look up one day and there's going to be 40, 50 people on the call. And then maybe a few months later, you're going to see a couple of hundred. So, I mean, all things are possible when you, when you make a plan. Now, if you're going to make a plan to only have 5 or 6 people, then, I mean, Allah does say, go out either lightly equipped or heavily equipped. but the idea is we got to go out. So, I mean, we've been doing that. We've had our collective conversations. We've had our Saturday Ramadan sessions. So I'm trying to encourage us to continue, down this same path. So inshallah, I'll try to get it out. Get my notes out to us today. Inshallah, because I do have an extra hour. While I'm thinking about it, I got a question, and I was going to check to see whether or not this website that I use was a mistake. But on any prayer calendar that any one of you have, is Isha coming in tonight like 12 or 13 minutes right after Maghrib?
No, that wouldn't be the case. I'm looking at my prayer calendar, pulling it up right now, and Maghrib's at 7:31, Isha's at 8:38.
They probably didn't change the daylight saving on Isha.
Yeah, no, they did. Because yesterday on this calendar, it was at 6:09, and today it's at 7:10. So
And
it's
how about Maghrib then?
yeah, and that's where I'm having the problem. So I'm just gonna make a clerical change because they have on Maghrib it's 1922. So that's 7:22.
Mm-hmm.
That's 12 minutes after Maghrib. That don't even make sense. So I'm gonna
No,
make
no,
yeah, I'm
that
gonna
should
make
be right.
12 minutes.
You said 1922 on Maghrib.
That's
No,
7:22, right?
Yeah.
no. Maghrib is 7:10.
Ah, okay. And they got Isha at 7:22.
Yes,
So they have made a mistake. It should be
yes,
Yeah.
8:22 for
yes,
Isha.
yes. And I know it. I know it is because
So let me ask you: is this a printed thing, or is this on your phone or some other
yeah, it's just on
device?
it's just on my phone.
Go to Islamic City.
Islamic City. Okay.
Islam
Oh,
City.
okay.
I'll text you the website. Go to that.
Uh,
There's a pretty accurate.
yeah. You know what? And now I'm looking. I know they made a mistake because tomorrow night,
Mhm.
Isha is at 8:23. So yeah, I'm good. I just found their mistake. You know,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
yes, sir. All right, man. So I'm straight now. But I wasn't gonna worry. I wasn't gonna jump up. I wasn't gonna jump up from the table and go. No, man. You don't. My daughter yesterday as best I could. You know that daddy loves you, but right now I can't give you no hugs and kisses. Oh man. So but okay, so I'll get that out to us. Um and hopefully between now and next Sunday, um we can have one or two ideas where we can start plugging in some of these dates.
Yeah, I have a big recommendation that we try to find someone. I would love for it to be somebody who is a part of our association, but failing that, if we could find someone from the African American community who is involved not as a laborer per se, but somebody who's in management, might even be an owner of a manufactured housing company.
Manufacturing housing.
Manufactured housing, yeah. We used to call them Jim Walter homes in Texas.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the cost of those homes is like 20% to 30% per square foot of like a home that's built on site. It's just incredible. And I'd like to talk to them about their production capabilities, issues that they have with zoning laws, different things like that, because I'm just thinking about solutions to some of the housing problems.
Let me talk with the man of our masjid. He's in construction.
Okay.
And see what he knows. Let me talk with him, and I'll see if he can talk more about that.
Mm-hmm. that might be one that we could get going in April.
All right.
That
I'll talk to him.
should be on people's minds.
Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
And then I would love to, and I think we do have some people in our community that are involved at the local government level in some of our cities, because there's a couple of other things that I've been thinking about a long time, and it has a lot of it has to do with zoning and what you can build, because most open areas in our cities that are residential are built for single family homes, and not multi-purpose facility, multi-use buildings and stuff like that. Of how difficult it is to get the zoning, to build housing for more than just a single family. The other thing is property taxes.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about, you might be able to, you probably own more property than anybody that's part of our group.
That ain't gonna be hard, but
Well, okay, but I mean, I've got my family has 80 something acres, but it's all out the country, so that doesn't count. The of raising property taxes on vacant property and lowering property taxes on where there actually is structure, where somebody has taken and built something, lowering the property taxes there. But to get away from some of these vacant places and different things like that especially in cities are a problem of raising the taxes on vacant land.
right.
I'd love to hear somebody extrapolate on that.
Who does that?
Nobody yet. Well, I
Well,
take that back. I take that back. I think Minneapolis instituted something along those lines, and they had a multi-family building spurt. Minneapolis alone outpaced the rest of the state of Minnesota. On vacant property.
yeah, they got it here in Washington, D.C.
Oh, dude. Okay.
Yeah, big time. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a let me look to be sure, but it is a higher percentage than what you would pay for if the property was occupied.
Mm-hmm.
There is the opportunity for, I think, at least a year that you can renew it another year for you to register your property with the city at a cost to keep it off of the vacant tax roll. One of the things, so for example, construction of a property could keep it off of the vacant tax roll.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to encourage development.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay. All right.
That's the purpose of it. But yeah, we've had that here in Washington, D.C. For some, I would tell you at least 10 years. Because there was we had a rash of individual property owners who may have owned 4 or 5 homes in the same block that they were speculating that housing was going to go up and they would be able to sell their dilapidated properties at a premium price.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, look, the housing market, and and I have to be careful when I talk to people about the housing market here in the city versus anywhere else in the country, because up until here recently, we've pretty much been insulated um, from any major fluctuations. But everything here has been on the rise. Um, you know, some people have paid more for their properties than what they're worth, but in general, um, the key thing is the key thing that's been for me is to keep my assessment of my property low, so that, you know, I don't, because I don't plan on selling it, I don't care whether or not, if you assess my property, like right now, I just got my tax bill. In fact, I got and that's bill with a S. But I've got the property where I live, they've got it assessed. They've got it assessed at, I'm gonna say, just 685,000. That's what it is assessed at. But I know, and the assessor knows, that there are homes that have sold on my block of 42 houses that have sold in the upper $900,000 to to just over $1 million. So last year, he assessed, as my property had always been in the, I've been here since 1984. But in the last few years, it's always been assessed at over $500,000. But last year, that joint jumped up to 900 and something thousand. So, and I had a new assessor. So because I always pay attention to the person who's assessing the property as well. You know, because DC is a small. Thousand. So I challenge it. Long story short, he agreed to reduce it because I demonstrated to him that my property is not like any other property on this block, in that it's mixed use. I can have a business in my property. And so he asked me, he said, well, do you? I said, yes. You don't rent it out? No, sir. My wife and I have run a business from this property since 1984. And that changed the assessment to where it is now. 2025, $685,000. Then on top of that, because I'm over 65, DC has a senior citizens discount. So that reduces my taxes. On top of that, because this is the only property where I live, they give me what they call a homestead deduction, which reduces my taxes even more. If I was disabled, thank God I'm not, but if I was, my property would be reduced even more. So all of those things are in place. But should this property ever become vacant, we talking a whole different animal at that point. So in DC. So I just want to look right now. Yeah, so vacant property is taxed $5 per $100 of assessed value. Then they have a separate certification or classification of what they call a blighted property. It's taxed at $10 for every $100 of assessed value.
Those are probably like either vacant lots or where the house or the structure is just so dilapidated that it couldn't pass any kind of code.
That's right. Yes, sir.
More than likely. Yeah.
Yes, sir. But just to I mean, look, I mean, it ain't hard to do the math if you've got a house that's assessed at, let's just say mine is assessed at 685,000 and it is vacant. But that assessment, man, jumps up to $3,425,000 at $5 for every 100. Because right now, with it being occupied the way that it is, I believe a residential property in the District of Columbia is assessed somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe like 85 cents, maybe. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yes, one. Oh, here it is. It's $1.89. No, wait a minute. No, that's right. Residential property, if it's class 1A, the tax rate is 85 cents.
Okay.
All right. So if it's class where I'm living, they consider it mixed use. So 70% of my property is residential. So it gets taxed at that 85% rate. But the residential part, the commercial part, which is 30%, it gets taxed at $1.65. So that's kind of how that is working. And like many states, there is like many states, because my commercial property is considered class 2. And so class 2 is $1.65 for every 100. So that building, that strictly commercial building that I own down the street is they assess it at $785,000. Now, I can tell you that may change next year, because I went out and I think I may have told you all this, and this was something I learned from Graceline. That's why I love y'all. I went out with what we had established here in Graceline, and I pulled together 14 property owners of 25 properties in 2 blocks, and went out and found an attorney to change our zoning from 1 level commercial to now 5 levels. That is going to increase the value of the land. We had our hearing April the 1st, 2024, and we finally got that upgrade in zoning on February the 14th. The order came down. It was finally done. And we raised $33,000 in 10 days to pay the attorney and the fees that were associated, with the filing. I mean, the application fee alone might have been like $850. And then there were some other fees that we had to pay as well. So now, even though they have my property assessed at this $785 mark, it now has more value. And so I am seriously thinking about selling it. As opposed to, because initially I was going to try to develop it. But I bought that building 20-something years ago, and I wanted to develop it then, but I was restricted. I was restricted by zoning. But now that I've got it, 20-something years later, I'm no longer interested in going into debt. So best thing for me to do is, best thing I can do is just go ahead and sell it. I think in today's market, I'd be able to get $1.5 million. In fact, that's going to be somewhere about what I'm looking for. I may put it on the market for 1.6, but I'm looking at least 1.5 and hope. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it I want to do something else. I'm going to have some things to think about. And the reason that I haven't decided to, the reason I haven't moved forward with actually selling it is I'm trying to do my due diligence to figure out what all that's going to mean. I know I'm going to have capital gains. How can I keep that down? My son is talking about, he wants to buy something in a couple of years. Maybe I can jump on some exchange with him because the property is in the name of a trust. So, I could sell it, and there's some kind of, can't remember what it's called. There's some kind of tax exchange that you can do if you buy another property in 2 years, it reduces your capital gains.
Talking about like kind of exchange.
Yeah, but it has a numerical name. But yeah, that's it. Yes.
And you had to set that up legally for it to apply.
Okay. Well, I got 2 years to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I've read. So.
And then as part of that setup, it would help us relocate to an area that's depressed and need some help.
Enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a whole street named Enterprise down here in Fayetteville.
Okay. Are you suggesting that I consider moving?
Hey, come on down, brother.
Well, look, don't laugh, because we sure looking at South Carolina.
Close
Yeah,
enough.
we sure looking at South Carolina, because we got a friend down there that has some undeveloped, land. She owns a couple, 3 houses on the block, and there's some other vacant vacant land that's in that same block. And God willing, sometime this year we're going down and take a look at it. Because that might be something that we would be willing to invest in. The other thing I've read is that if let's say I sell the property for $1.5 million, you give me $1 million, and I finance the other 500,000. That reduces my capital gain. So I'm still investigating all of this. I learn as I go along. I don't know it. And quite frankly, this goes back to what I had said earlier, about gaining experience. Young man.
Doing it that way. If you do installment sale, that's what that's called.
Mm-hmm.
That would spread the recognition of the gain over several years.
Right.
It won't reduce it necessarily. It won't reduce the amount, but you don't have to recognize all of it in 1 year.
That's right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kemp.
That's right. I'll send you a bill.
Yes. And don't pad it. Don't pad it, because I'm coming into a minute.
No, I'm messing with you, bro.
Yeah, man. No, I'm and look, I'm saying all these things to us to say this. The only way that our people are going to be able we got to keep talking about it, at least amongst ourselves, because conversations like we're having now, when we don't have these conversations at the masjid, and now some people want to put it on the imams. I don't put it on the imams, because if the imam doesn't know it himself, then I don't want him across the rostrum talking about something he don't know. And that's even an example we can take from our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was asked for advice from a farmer who grew olives. Grew dates, and the Prophet gave him some advice, and the man came back to him and said, his crops died. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, he said, well, listen, I'm the messenger of Allah. I'm not a date farmer. So I don't want our imams. Now, Imam Tariq may be the exception to this rule, because in addition to giving khutbahs, he teaches on entrepreneurship every Saturday. So that's the exception. But I don't know, with all due respect to Imam Talib Sharif, I don't know his background to be business. Or entrepreneurship. I know his background to be that of having served in the armed forces for a number of years. Now, as an imam, he's excellent at what he does. no, but I I wouldn't necessarily be looking to him for any advice on investments or things of that nature. Um, and my hope is, and this is what we're working towards, and I've been asked to do this, is I'm going to be holding a series of seminars at Masjid Muhammad's Community Center while the new masjid is being built, to help those in the community that have an interest in the things that they can start to do now financially to plan for their future. So that, because I had a brother who told me that um, he's 50 years old, and he claimed that he wasn't going to be able to do what I did, because he's 50. And I told him, I said, well, if I told you that I didn't start doing the things I was doing in terms of investments until later in life, what would you say then? Because that commercial building I'm telling you about, I bought it when I was 48. If I had the good sense that God gave me, I'd have bought commercial property long before then, instead of investing all this money in classic cars. Man, I had back in the 90s, I was getting so much money, I had 3 Cadillacs. A 70 DeVille convertible, and a 1986 that I had customized.
I sound like,
Well, like it's not.
I'm sorry for the interruption, but I was looking at this little clip on social media about this Caucasian was giving, and he was, doing a presentation, and he was saying uh, the Cadillac company was saved from bankruptcy because of the African American community at one time in their history,
That's true.
because they was purchasing the Cadillac.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. In fact,
So,
white
so thank
people,
you for allowing
white
me to
people,
interrupt you, man.
no, 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 listen. It's absolutely true. I mean, in the 19, man, look, there were white people who wouldn't buy Cadillacs because blacks were. Man, but that's that. But the point I'm making here is this: the money that I invested in those cars, I ended up selling all 3 of them at a loss so that I could continue building out my commercial building. And now, here we are, 20 something years after I made that purchase in 2002, and I'm getting in over $100,000 a year in rent. Every month, tenant pays me. Muslim pays me every single month, and has been doing so. This particular tenant has been doing so since 2010. I've had the same tenant since 2010. And now his rent is up to a little over $100,000. And it's going to, and that's $100,000 because I'm a practicing Muslim. If I wasn't, or my mind just wasn't right, I could be easily making $175,000, $200,000 off of the same building. But I won't allow certain businesses, i.e., those that plan on serving alcohol, to occupy that space. And I mean, I've had people in the neighborhood that are still mad with me. No, I didn't see any future with them. And those that were the restaurants, all of them were planning to serve alcohol, to tell me that they weren't going to be able to make no money without it. And I thought to myself, well, that ain't true. Because I know several restaurants that don't serve alcohol that are successful. I mean, I don't know if they do now, but IHOP doesn't serve alcohol. Denny's, they may not necessarily be places where I eat, but they seem to be successful without alcohol. Now, and I had an idea somewhere in my files. I still have the plans where I was going to open up a themed restaurant just to prove to people that you could be successful in the restaurant business without serving alcohol. I did it when I had my first store, and I wasn't even Muslim. My first store, I didn't sell beer and wine. And I had everybody that had a store like mine to tell me that I couldn't be successful without selling beer and wine. You break even on all the grocery stuff, but it's the beer and wine that makes you your profit. Well, later I found out that's what Allah says in the Quran. That in gambling and drinking, there's a lot of profit, but the sin is greater than the profit. Now, I found that out once I became a Muslim. I wasn't Muslim at the time, but I had a conscience. I don't know if you ever heard of a conscious hustler, but that's what I was. I don't even know if they make such a thing. But I'll readily admit that I was one. There were certain things that I would not do because my conscience would not allow me to do it. And I owe that to my parents, because they taught me the difference between right and wrong. I just chose to do wrong. And I look at it now, and I think one of the reasons I could never have been in the nation was because when Elijah Muhammad put that clean glass next to the dirty glass, I was the fool that wanted to take the dirty glass. I made my choice, and despite what other people may think, I'm glad that I made the choice that I did, because it got me to the point where I am now. I'm no longer doing them things, but them lessons that I learned, they've become invaluable. They have absolutely become invaluable. And when I see stuff like what we were discussing, or what Omar and Edward were discussing when I came on, about the situation and circumstance with the Imam's 50th, if I was in that group and I saw that coming, the signs would have been there. The signs would have been there, but you needed to know what to look for. And whenever I step to a group, I'm quiet. I want to listen. I want to find out what is the agenda of each person at the table. I step away. Or if I don't step away, I know how to manipulate myself through the process because I know who the players are and who I need to avoid. Because I mean, this is a period right now where we want to be avoiding confrontation. And I'm glad when you all were having this conversation, it was private. There was no name calling. There was no reason for me to try to put one of you in check because I don't want to hear all of the details. You know, I don't want to. I don't want to hear about what somebody's doing and not doing, and that sort of backbiting mentality. I don't want to hear it. You know, so I mean, I'm glad for you all. I'm thankful for you. I wanna keep this thing going because if you haven't realized what we got here is special. You know, and if it ain't working for nobody else, it's working for me. You know, God bless you, and God bless me too. But I I'm getting a whole lot out of this. You know, and I pray you all are too. So I mean, we can include. I can go to work on trying to include something on a general level for this conversation about property taxes and vacant land, and I've saved stories about what do they call this? It's I think it's called, is it heritage land or land where there's no deed, and it's a lot in the South.
Heirs property.
Heirs property. That's it. No deed, but they there are groups of people who are going around working within the system to take heirs property away from the rightful heirs, those that it has been passed down to for generations. You know, I just learned a couple of weeks ago that Masjid Muhammad was in a very sticky situation. In fact, they are still stuck, but have found a way to get out of it. You know, through the help of Allah and the politicians. You know, where without getting into a lot of detail, there was a loan made to the resident imam to purchase property, and the property was purchased, and the note was being paid. In the meantime, the community put forth an application got a loan on. So the way things work here in the district, you have a square. And then within that square, and they assign that square a 4-digit number. But on that square, you may have several lots, and these lots are represented by houses or buildings, commercial buildings or houses. Well, what the masjid wanted to do was to combine their lots that they own into one square. And of course, you got to pay for this. There's application fees and all kinds of people that need to be paid, because you've got to go before a board of zoning adjustment, before the zoning commission, to have this change legally effective. Well, they did that, and they got it. But then the lender, for the one lot that Talib Sharif was given a mortgage on, they literally went out and falsified documents that gave them ownership of the property. And so the masjid, no, I'm sorry, they went out and falsified documents that took away the lots being combined into one, because they claimed that the mortgage was not paid. They falsified those documents where the mortgage was paid, and they waited 2 years to file those documents. And that 2-year period that they waited happened to coincide with the zoning commission giving Masjid Muhammad the permission to put all 4 of the lots into one square. Where they suffered during this process is they were now, because of that one property, they were now no longer considered to be tax exempt and had to pay real estate taxes on that property, where, as I'm speaking to you right now, the District of Columbia is holding over $250,000 of the masjid's money while this is being straightened out. And it's going to get straight. I mean, they're at a point now where I would tell you it's just the slow wheels of government that's grinding. I accepted it for what it was, because I had heard about things like this. But what I was more interested in knowing, because they were talking to the city council, the chair of the city council, to the councilman for that particular ward, to the mayor's office, to the Office of Tax and Revenue. They were talking to everybody that could do something about the situation. But all I wanted to know was, what was the city council doing to introduce a law that would prevent this from ever happening to someone else again? I mean, man, there are schemers out there. I tell people, when you do your will, there's certain information you don't put in the will. And you don't want it in there because a will is a public document. And I invite any of you to go down to the courthouse where your wills are recorded. There are people hanging around. You heard of ambulance chasers? Where there are vultures that are hanging around the courtroom, reading the legal notices in the paper, and then walking into the clerk and asking to see the public document of your will. And if they find anything in there that they think they can get their hands on. Like you telling them about property that you own. They're going to go and find the weakest link in the family, and they're going to propose to them getting the house, buying the house. And we'll pay you $30,000. You don't have to share nothing with the rest of the family. That'll be yours. All I need you to do is just sign this.
Brother Emmanuel,
Yes, sir.
if you allow me again, I was reminded of an article that I read several years ago that was published in, man, I forgot the newspaper already, what it was called, Torn from the Land. Associated Press, yeah, Torn from the Land. It was a 3-part series. Black Americans' farmlands taken through cheating, intimidation,
Yep.
even murder. And again, it was from Associated Press that came out in 2001. And I know there was a family in my home county here in Mississippi that happened to them as well. But it's a very interesting article. Again, it's titled Black Americans' Farmland Taken Through Cheating, Intimidation, even murder. And it came out in 2001, Sunday, December the 2nd.
Okay. You said December the 2nd?
Associated Press, Sunday,
Right.
the 2nd of December, 2001.
Okay.
And it's titled Torn from the Land. Torn from the Land. And,
Okay. Yeah, I wrote that down. Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, but those are the things, or these are the things that we need to keep talking about. And I don't, trust me when I tell you, when a witness wants to step up, I don't mind the interruption, brother.
Well, let me say another thing I'm reminded of is that what it stated was one family member would go hire an attorney, and the attorney is the one end up getting the property.
Yes, sir.
Because they was misled by the attorney.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm not going to bore you with another story, but there's something like that that's unfolding right now with a sister that my wife and I are very close to, and I mean I'm telling you, man, the more you talk about it, the more people are going to step up and tell you of similar stories that they have also experienced. I'm going to stop there because those of us on the East Coast, we do have Zoa coming in little after 1, so I want to give other folk the opportunity to say something and give the greetings of Assalamu alaikum to dear Sister Martha.
Alaikum assalam. I'm having technical problems, but I'm here. I should say.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Well, I talked about you, I guess maybe about 30 minutes ago or so. I told this group that you did an excellent presentation. Saturday,
Alhamdulillah.
Especially with learning more about your background, how you came how you came into your financial understanding. Oh man, that was, I mean, it was good. I mean, I appreciate it.
Alhamdulillah. Thank Allah. Thank you so very, very much. And on the housing thing, I don't know if I should inject that right now.
Yes, please. I mean, we
in listening to NPR one day, National People's Radio, pulling up into our yard, and I heard someone declaring that the judge had slapped the hands of Wells Fargo for their attorneys having their secretaries sign homeowners documents and declaring that the homeowner has signed it. And across my mind, I go, oh, okay, that'll never, you know, you never consider it happening to you. But we became very much victims, with the sheriff eventually coming and knocking on the door and saying, grab what you can and get out.
Mm.
We were under Bank of America. Now the possibility of them bundling our home, but it was found out it was an error. But it was after my husband had transitioned from the whole effect. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, is the life and death part, but the neglect and all the unfortunate situation that we had to go through with him being wheeled out to the road curb. He was a trucker, and he spent many tireless nights driving, delivering over 48 states. 20 years we were there in the home, and that's how it ended in 2019 with the sheriff coming to the door and saying, get out. After we had gone to court, he had shown his ownership papers from the city, having acquired the home, and Wells Fargo attorney and a secretary came in and declared that because our signature was true to form on the documents they asked for, was that our signature? Well, I said, yes, it's mine. My husband said, I'm not going to answer to anything you may have forged. But they couldn't produce the original documents of our purchasing of the home, nor the final. We had filed the Chapter 13. But anyway, it came out to be that the judge took their word for it and told us we had to be out in 30 days. You know, so alhamdulillah, you know, it's amazing how it happens. And when all of it happened, you know, through everything that happened after that, with his illness and with him being transitioning from one place to another temporarily to get into an apartment through the housing and to get us stable enough to even pursue regaining that. It was just so much rolling over, and that's how it ended. Was everything was leveled, I should say. You know, when you think of a person's debts, he was not one to leave a debt. So much so that we didn't have insurance on I say insurance, mortgage insurance, but the debt to the car was he sent that back. He cleared a lot of things. I mean, he was one to take care of that. So I thank Allah for him and his conscientiousness to that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just moved all those things that probably would have been problematic for me out of the way.
That's a story. Wow. I had no idea. So you got caught up in all that mess.
Yes, Wells Fargo. I don't know if they're still doing it or unfolding. Someone said, you know, I should still pursue it, and I said, okay. But you know, like I say, storage places and the storage is being a whole nother story. But anyway, auctioned off, whole house full of stuff. So when you truly say you turn to Allah and Allah never ever stop providing,
Right.
faith
Right.
is.
You got a living testament.
Me.
Yes, ma'am. That's a living testament. Wow. Yeah, well, may Allah continue to lift that burden off of you. That's sounds like you and your family were doing all the right things, but they were clearly in the wrong. And what should be more concerning to all of us is that the Wells Fargos and the Bank of Americas of the world are still allowed to get away with the same thing until the next bad actor shows up.
Countrywide and all of that. I'm sure you all
Yeah,
remember Countrywide.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah, and but for my own due diligence, I may have got caught up in it. I didn't, because it was too good to be true. And and I was presented on 2 occasions. I was presented with contracts that I just refused to sign because the terms weren't acceptable to me, and I wasn't trying to lose what little bit I had. But what I did not consider, and I certainly will do it, now. I've certainly been doing is the lengths that some companies will go through in order to be able to, in your case, like bundle, your bundle the loan so that they can sell it to someone else,
Mm-hmm.
or like they did at Masjid Muhammad, where it's been proven in court that the documents were forged.
Mm.
But what I haven't heard is who's going after the forgery. Well, in this particular case, it turns out that they have filed for bankruptcy. But I don't know fully how the system works. But I would think in certain cases you'd be able to go after certain people personally. So listen, we seem to be dropping off here one by one. If and those of us on the East Coast, we got maybe about 30 minutes or so before door. So if there's nothing else,
I have a question, Amen. And I guess it all comes down to contract is a contract is a contract. And I'm asking a question in reference to transfer of auto titles and having someone stand in your stead, power of attorney wise. Are you familiar with that?
in Florida,
Yes.
let me look into that and get back to you today, inshallah.
Okay.
Okay. And it's a vehicle.
Yes, it's a vehicle that's registered in on file with one person. My niece is paying off. She's paid it off. The lien is being lifted, and she's selling her car to my granddaughter. And but she won't be able to be present, so she's giving my granddaughter power of attorney to sign in her stead. But my granddaughter is the one purchasing the vehicle, so my granddaughter is saying, "Well, I need someone to sign for me, so because my name can't show up twice." That's it.
Yeah, let me and I'm assuming the granddaughter is over 18.
She's 25. Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let me look into that,
Okay.
and
And
inshallah I'll reach out to you this evening.
okay,
If I can't get you
it'll be
out
fine
there,
whenever you can.
yeah. When I send an email to info@CWSC,
Yes.
does that come into you personally, or
It comes. I have access as executive director to the email directly. Yes.
Do other people have access to it?
Latifa Hameen.
Okay. I don't know if I have. Do you have a personal email address?
Yes. You ready?
Yes.
It's like the Tootsie Roll Pop.
Mhm.
It's Tootsie 31852 at yahoo.com.
And that's Tootsie with 2 O's?
Correct. Totsie.
Oh, it's only 1 O. Or is
No,
it?
it's Too. I'm
Okay.
reading what AI is writing down too.
Okay. Tootsie. Okay. At yahoo.com. Okay.
31852.
Yeah, I got that. Okay. Got
Oh,
it.
okay.
Okay. All right. Got it. All right.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
and my only communication is through email. I have been given 216 phones, but they each need to be
Okay.
they need to be set up.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, no, that's fine. That's fine. And that might be better anyway.
Okay.
You'll be able to see whatever it is I see you send you at your leisure.
Thank you so very much.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I'll take a look and get back
Okay.
to you. So I guess since I've had the floor all this time, I might as well go ahead and close us out.
Okay.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Rabbana hasanatin afir akhirati hasanatin kina adab. O Allah, give us good in this world, good in the after, and defend us from the torment of the fire. Alhamdulillah. All right, folks. So I don't think we're not doing any collective conversation Monday, right?
I don't know. I haven't been able to come on because Mondays I'm doing the Imam Abdulaziz Tarweeh prayer time.
Edward, are you still with us here?
I
Yes,
am. I am. So I know that I think everything. No, I have to get back to you on that.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Alhamdulillah. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan.
Allah, we'll speak next week. Alhamdulillah.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak again.
Wa alaikum salam.